All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast. We are just hours away from possibly the biggest in the NCAA March Madness women's game watched ever in history. I'm going to talk about it. I really hope it happens. Ladies, please don't screw this up, and I got a lot of things to say about it. But, with podcasts and just life in general, to try to relate to you, they say, know things you know things you have experience with. And three things I know pretty well. Let me tell you a little bit about me. I played basketball my whole life, so I know basketball. I played even in college. A lot of people look at me and don't believe it. 9% of you challenge me on the court. I dare you. Even at my advanced age, I can still kick your ass. I know the Golden State Warriors, been following them for a very long time, and I also actually know addiction. You're talking to someone who is now 2.5 years sober. I had to go through the whole rigmarole, the rehab, sober living, the meetings, the program, the whole shigbob, as you whatever you want to call it. So, like I said, I know basketball, I know the Golden State Warriors, and I know addiction. So, this first subject, I'm going to talk about the Golden State Warriors and two guys specifically, one who just recently made the news again in Draymond Green. And I'll go ahead and pop this up here as Corey's already got it up for me, the first picture. I'm going to call this first part the Addict's Dilemma, and I'm going to relate this to Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. Draymond Green's impulse control issues. We're going to talk about Steve Kerr and his obsession and why he certain has some coaching issues there, and why I actually think, while I'm not saying they're addicted to drugs or alcohol, they have addictive behaviors that I'm going to explain and help you understand. If you're frustrated like me with both of them and why they continue to do certain things, I'm going to be able to explain to you why. A lot of this does actually lie in addiction. Now, this is also the addict's dilemma, though, for me as well, because unfortunately, when you get sober and then you go through the rehab and the recovery and the meetings and the therapy and all the experiences and all the conversations, you can start developing a little confirmation bias. Like, you can start seeing it and that behavior in everybody else. Does that make sense? Like, people get born again or whatever. You get into something, then suddenly you see it in everybody else, whether you're right or wrong. So I'm going to try to hopefully, I don't think I'm wrong here. I truly do think there is addictive behavior that is explaining away these two guys and their two problems, Steve Kerr and Draymond Green specifically, and the Golden State Warriors. So, what do I mean by this, and how can I try to avoid a little bit of the dilemma of not just see things that aren't there? They're not drug addicts. They're not alcoholics. They're behavioral addicts. They have behavioral addiction. And Brent, what does that mean? Let's go ahead and already cut to number 2 here, as I'm going to explain as, yes, Draymond and, Steve, look up because this actually applies to you. They have behavioral addiction issues. Basically, behavioral addiction means that you are continuing compulsive or problematic behavior even after negative impacts. Signs of these, three signs of this include failing to stop doing things, even when it's problematic, downplaying the behavior even when it's problematic, and increasing frequency and ignoring obligations to family and work. So again, behavioral addiction, not drug or alcohol, but the same addictive behavior, has 3 main signs in it. When you have compulsive or problematic behavior and you fail to stop doing it, you try to downplay the behavior, or you increase the frequency and you ignore obligations within family or work, even when it's detrimental to you and the people around you. This truly is what I really think defines Steve Kerr and Draymond Green. They have these things that they do that can only be kind of explained like this, because it's, a lot of people say, isn't that just kind of a better definition for stubborn? Possibly. But I mean, stubborn people can even stop if, they realize, like, dude, this is detrimental to everyone around me. This is detrimental to my work. This is detrimental to my friends and family. I need to stop doing this. When it gets into this level where both of them are showing me that even when there's signs of negativity and there's signs that they are not getting the goddamn thing right and they continue to do it, and then when you ask them about it, even when it fails and it fails everyone else around them and they downplay it, that is behavioral addiction. These signs are real. And let's start off with Draymond. Let's go ahead and get to Draymond Green here. As I'm going to go ahead, Corey, I got you busy. Let's pop up picture number 3 here. Draymond Green, a.k.a. Two-Face. I'm going to call this part the Draymond's Two Faces. Draymond Green, for all of his good and bad and everything else, has impulse control problems. I don't know if I'm really shocking anybody with that diagnosis, but he is truly one of those people, and I have sat next to these people. I have been right there with them, and it's fascinating because in the moment, when they're calm, when they're in a group setting or a therapy or whatever else, press conference in front of a microphone, his own podcast, they can seem like they really got it all together, that they figured it out, that they understand what they do is wrong, that they understand what they do is hurting others, including themselves, and that, they've kind of gone center and they figured things out, and from now on, they're going to change and they're going to be different. And it's so amazing. And it's only once you've been in it for a few years like I have and seen people that you think, oh, that one's got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out. She's got to figure it out. And they're the first ones to go back and because of their impulse control problems, just completely screw it all up. I had people that I really thought figured it out that relapsed before they left the parking lot of the rehab. Draymond Green is in this bullshitter con artist, and it's almost not his fault. He just can't control it until you really make somebody like him truly reform in extreme ways to kind of cancel out this effort syndrome, this impulse control problem. You're going to see the two faces of Draymond as we've continued to see for years and years and years. He can say the right thing when he's calm, but when it's gut check time and when push comes to shove and all that training and all that explanation and all that understanding is supposed to show up, it doesn't. And it's almost not even his fault. I kind of want to go Goodwill Hunting with Draymond. It's not your fault. You still have not gone through, even in your last suspension, when you supposedly spent like a whole 2 weeks, trying to figure out why you get so angry and why you can't control yourself. It's an addiction issue. You have a behavioral addiction problem that is centered around impulse control. That is why we always see these two faces. We can get smiling, happy Draymond at the All-Star game. We can get smiling, happy Draymond at the press conference on his podcast. And then he gets out on the court and he acts like a complete jackass. Why? Because he has not been able to figure out his impulse control, as it just happened again. And again, if you're experienced with this, it's not even that shocking anymore. But let's go ahead we can cut to this video. Draymond Green, just the other day, got his career high 4th ejection of the season. Congratulations, Draymond. Let's go ahead and pop the video up here. And 3.5 minutes in, they did not make it to the first television timeout. Draymond Green, after all his suspensions and after all his, reform and after all the bullshit he gave us about, I've got things figured out, because of one little ticky-tack call. I was watching this game live, not only touches the ref, which is a big no-no, argues with him, and then as he's walking away, as he admitted later, he purposely said some stuff that he knew was going to get him ejected. And it was just, it's Draymond, it's impulse. He can't control himself. Now, the sad part is where we're going to cut to next as this video continues. Steph. This poor bastard, a lot of people were kind of teasing him because you can start seeing tears of either just sadness for his friend or frustration or competitiveness or whatever you want to call it. But I mean, this is the guy he's supposed to be helping out. This is the guy he's supposed to be having his back. This is his teammate. This is the obligation to his family and his work that he once again screwed up. And you can look at Steph's face, man. He's had it. He has had it with this dude. He has had it with his two faces. And, I can't blame him. Once again, that's his career high 4th ejection of the season, 3.5 minutes into the first quarter. It's now the first time in his career he's been ejected twice in the first quarter in the same season. He's the first guy since 2017, by the way, to have 4 ejections in the season. Congratulations, Draymond, on that. That's now the 19th of his career. He's only now second behind Rasheed Wallace, who was all the way crazy in the last 25 years for most ejections in the past 25 seasons. And just this year, he's not just missed one series of games due to suspensions. He's missed 2 for a total of 21 games because of 2 separate suspensions, because he cannot. He just can't stop it. When push comes to shove and he needs to behave, he doesn't know how to do it. He has not been taught the proper things. He has not been treated the way he needs to be. He's been enabled. He's been coddled. He's been excused for. And so much of this is just so, again, this isn't me just looking in the mirror. I've seen this. I've been around these people that just when that moment comes, when that, that time when you need to actually show a change, he can't do it. And it's just, I feel bad for Steph. I feel bad for Golden State because they've really been put into a really unfortunate situation of you just signed this guy and extended him to a longer term contract. What are you going to do going forward with this guy when he continues to show this behavior? Again, not been suspended not just once this year, but twice for 21 missed games so far because he can't seem to get his shit together. And it's not only that, it's getting worse, which also models and follows the addict behavior of it gets increasingly more and more destructive, not just to him, but to the people around him if you don't do something extreme. And so the good news for Draymond is that the Golden State Warriors do need him. I mean, they're only one game out now of being completely eliminated from the playoffs. And the good news is for Draymond Green is that the Golden State Warriors need him. Just so you know, statistically, the Golden State Warriors this year are 26-17 when Draymond Green plays an entire game. Now, that would, if that was all the way played out in the math, that would put them a little bit in the 52 to 55 win season. That would put them somewhere comfortably in the top 6 away from the dreaded play-in. He is only now, the Warriors are now just 1-3 when he's been ejected. They are 11-14 this year without Draymond Green in games, at least for the full game, and they are now 2-11 the last 5 years without Draymond Green. So once again, the good news is for Draymond, for all your nonsense, the Golden State Warriors need you to win. They are 26-17 when you play a full game. They're only 1-3 when you get ejected. They're 11-14 in games that you have not been playing this year the entire game. And they are now 2-11 the last 5 years when you have not been available. So that's the good news is that, and also in almost a complete contradiction on the court, he is the most unselfish leader. He's, set screens for everyone else. He makes the extra pass. He does everything he can. He is the consummate professional and unselfish teammate when he's actually on the court. The bad news is you're two-faced and you have zero impulse control. You might be one of the worst I've ever seen, and I'll put Rasheed Wallace, Dennis Rodman, and some of the other ding-dongs up there on this list. You have the worst impulse control when it gets important that I might have ever seen any basketball player do, and the interesting thing with you is that you can be so far on the other side of the spectrum that you truly become a fascinating case of this, because again, this is, like I just mentioned, the 4th ejection this season. He's been suspended for 21 games now in 2 separate times this year. The last one was an indefinite where he was supposed to get rehabilitated before he came back. And I mean, this is all just, by the way, in addition to all the nonsense throughout Draymond's illustrious career. Some of the highlights would include, or lowlights, if you want to call it, when they, people forget they were 73-9 back in 2016. That should have been the greatest team of all time. They were up 3-1 in the finals, and we all know what happened. A lot of people forgot, though, Draymond got suspended. 3-1, they were up 73-9. Golden State Warriors should have been the best team that we should argue better than the 72-10 Bulls. They are now a footnote. They are a nothing, and they are known as the team that LeBron came back on because Draymond got himself suspended that game 5 and started the avalanche going the other way because he literally couldn't stop kicking other people in the dick. And he kept trying to say, oh, it's not my fault. I just accidentally keep kicking people in the dick. And because of his past, no one bought it. They suspended him for game 5. So he blows 73-9. He's the reason in 2018 that Kevin Durant left. Now, I was not a huge fan of the Kevin Durant Warriors, but they were winning nonstop. Kevin Durant can even, it's been explained that it was the friction between Draymond and Kevin Durant and the famous, infamous, we don't need your ass, he said on the court, that really got Kevin Durant out of there. So he probably blew other championships there. Just last year, he punched his own teammate in the face, got no suspension for it, got no real punishment. But I mean, and they were actually more upset that the video got released and he punched his own teammate in the face. Now Jordan Poole is gone. Now this year, with his multiple suspensions and ejections, we are now one game away from being eliminated from the play-in at all in the playoff picture this year, which is truly embarrassing for a guy like Steph Curry and this franchise that has had all sorts of success. So once again, not just this year, this is the same guy who's shown me lack of impulse control and ability to handle himself when they blew 73-9, one should be the greatest team of all time because he couldn't stop kicking people in the dick and got suspended. He's the reason Kevin Durant left. He's the reason that Jordan Poole left after he punched him and sucker punched him in a practice, and they were more upset that the video got released. And now this year, he is possibly blowing their chance to even make it to the play-in, which is just embarrassing in all sorts of ways because, again, he's been enabled. He has never been held accountable for his actions. Not really. They kind of tried it this year, and he's had no real quote-unquote help. So, that being said, What should we do? If you're the Golden State Warriors, if you're a fan of the Golden State Warriors, if you're Draymond Green yourself, what can we actually do to kind of maybe in the latter couple of years, because he's only got a couple of years left in his career, what can we actually, try that is somewhat in the model of what I'm discussing and the things that I've learned about any sort of addiction, whether it's drug, alcohol, behavior related? When someone is this extreme and someone is this much of a multiple violator of this problem, I got one solution and one solution only. If you have zero impulse control, you got a zero tolerance policy. And before you put the picture up here, I just wanted to explain what I mean. So zero tolerance policy, I am saying if you're Draymond Green, you are never, for the rest of the season, at least for the rest of the season, with 10 games left and maybe a few playoff games, just as an experiment, this is the only way I think you can actually get Draymond Green to show real reform. Zero tolerance for zero impulse control. Anybody not with a Golden State Warriors logo on, can't talk to. Can't even say a word. You can't say hi. You can't say bye. I don't care if it's the refs. I don't care if it's the fans. I don't care if it's the opposing players, the coaches, whoever. If they do not have a Golden State Warriors logo on their jersey somewhere, you cannot speak to them. Zero tolerance, no absolute ability whatsoever. So what am I really trying to say when I say zero tolerance policy? Go ahead and put this picture up. This is what I'm trying to say with zero tolerance. I don't care if an NBA referee literally has gone to his inner Joker. He has just gone crazy and he has just doused everybody in the stadium in gasoline. And he's got a can of Sterno in his hand and he said, you know what? I've had it. I'm going to set this whole bitch on fire. I'm going to set this entire stadium on fire and burn everybody down. And the only way that I won't do it is if Draymond Green comes up right now and argues with me about that last foul call I just made. He still can't do it. At that point, we're all just going to have to burn. If you're in that building and this ref has just gone insane, he said, I'm burning this bitch down. Man, woman, and child, we're all going down. I've had enough. The only thing that'll stop me from doing this is if Draymond Green comes up right now and argues this call with me, just like that sad look on his face, it just sucks for all of us because we all got to burn. That is the level I am trying to explain of extremeness when I say zero tolerance. You cannot talk to anybody else that does not involve the Golden State Warriors, whether it's the refs, whether it's the players, whether it's coaches, anybody in the stadium. You have zero tolerance. And why am I trying to get this extreme? Because when somebody has this level of a problem with being able to control himself, when someone is trying to reform, extreme boundaries are needed. I have seen it. I have been around it. I was a victim of this myself. I had to do a lot of things that I didn't think were really that important. But I learned that when you're in that level of just denial and you continue to downplay, and even though it's hurting you and everyone around you, you don't really seem to give a shit because when the moment comes, you just can't control yourself. If they don't give you extreme, goofy ass boundaries that try to fix you, and then once you kind of figure it out, maybe in a year or two, you can be allowed to talk again. You can talk to refs. You can do your thing. You can, debate. You can be the fiery leader that you think that you are so much, this excuse you have for your nonsense because it's, it's necessary. I'm the rabble rouser. I'm the shit starter of the team. I'm the one who emotional leader, blah, 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 blah. After you show some extreme restraint and show that you can kind of figure out how to stop yourself when that gut check moment comes and you have to finally go, I can't. As much as I really want to do this right now, I can't do it. Once you've shown that for an extended period of time, then you can let the leash up a little bit. Then you can be like, all right, now you're allowed to argue one call a game. Now you're allowed to, talk trash if somebody talks trash back to you. Now you're allowed to do X, Y, Z. But until then, like I said, I don't care if the referee has gone crazy and he says, I'm going to burn this whole place down. The only thing that'll stop me, I just called a shit foul on Andrew Wiggins. The only thing that's going to stop me is if Draymond comes up and screams in my face right now. If not, we're all going to burn. Even in that situation, at least for the rest of this season, Draymond, you're not allowed to talk. Golden State Warriors, I don't know, because I hear y'all and I watch Steph in that video and I see him get frustrated and I hear all the talk afterwards and all the other analysts and people that maybe, because they're a little bit luckier than some of the rest of us here, don't understand the level of just, again, impulse issue that we're dealing with here. And they have all these weird little kind of slap on the wrist solutions or da-da-da-da-da. It is going to take a legit zero tolerance for him to understand. It's going to be embarrassing for him. It's going to be kind of goofy, but it's the only thing at this point. Again, he's setting all sorts of records in all the wrong ways for ejections, for suspensions, for just embarrassing, and it's become a bigger part of his legacy. Steph and Clay and some of the others will be remembered for their titles. Draymond is at least going to be half remembered for his bullshit. For fighting Nurkic, for choking Gobert, for kicking people in the dick and getting suspended, for arguing with refs, for being a constant pain in the ass. That has now become a huge part of his legacy that he can't erase whether he wants to or not. What he can do is, at least in the last couple years, show and kind of be a role model and kind of help other people see that even me, even I, as goofy as I've been for this long of a period of time, if you really apply yourself and put your mind to it and try and not just, do the bullshit, not just sit next to me, like I said, people in meetings that could give you all the things you wanted to hear. Oh, I've got to figure it out. I really care about my family. I really want to do the right thing and yada, yada, yada. But when gut check time came and when that moment came, they choked. If he can actually do something and prove to the world that even a Draymond can show this type of restraint, I think that would actually be a very cool way to end your career versus the way that you're ending it, which is goddamn embarrassing with the nonstop ejections bullshit. And right now, this would be me. If I'm the Golden State Warriors, if I'm new general manager Mike Dunleavy, it's my first year in, head coach Steve Kerr, who I'm going to get to here in a second, you really kind of lost this. When you've enabled somebody for over a decade, it's hard to kind of then become the tough cop, so to speak. But if I'm the Warriors management, I'm just going to be like, dude, zero tolerance. You can't say a word. We don't know what else to do with you. This is how out of control. You need to understand how much of a detriment it is when you're off the court, which he does know, and how much it's a detriment to Steph and Clay and to this organization and to any championship hopes we had the last few years. In order to do this, we're going to have to just tell you, you can't say a word. Anybody not with Golden State, you can't say shit. You can't do anything about it until we think that you truly understand just how harmful your behavior is. And no matter what you say, you can't seem to control it. We don't know what else to do. It's either zero tolerance or you're traded. And I think you can get something for him. I don't think you'll get the value back. But I mean, that would be the point at this point at the end of the year, and maybe Steph behind closed doors, because Steph is pretty quiet about his leadership. But behind closed doors, maybe he goes like, dude, you either figure this out or you're gone. Because I've got a few years left. I don't want to leave Golden State. We want to re-sign Clay. We would still like to at least have an opportunity to win another title. If you can't figure this out, you got to go. And I don't, and don't let the door hit you on the way out. But if you can show reform, then obviously you're still valuable to the team and you can stay. And the only way to do that is to give them a zero tolerance. Can't say a word to anybody out there, not with a Golden State Warriors logo. All right. So the second part of this, and this is still involving Golden State, behavioral addiction, and just signs that I've seen, involves my man Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr. And his issue with behavioral addiction goes more into what I call obsession and craving. Corey, can we go ahead and put this up? I love AI. Steve Kerr and his precious hobbits. Steve Kerr is obsessed with small ball. Steve Kerr craves small ball. He doesn't know any other way. And he is the way Gollum is obsessed with his ring. Steve Kerr is going to do this strategy to the detriment of the team. He's going to downplay it. He's going to act like it's no big deal when they continue to lose. And he will continue to run this train into the wall because it's the only thing he knows. He is a behavioral addict. He is obsessed and he craves small ball. His precious hobbitses. He wants nothing but little people out there on the court. And look, I'm not even trying to diss small ball completely because it does work in spurts. For people that don't know, that don't watch a lot of basketball, the small ball theory has worked in spurts and does play out in this way. Small ball is basically when you sacrifice the size of your team and your post offense and defense in order to have more speed out there, more agility, and more scoring involving usually better three-point shooting. And yes, in at least spurts, in times, in eras, it has worked. I don't want to sit here and act like there's no validity to this strategy and his obsession and his craving and his precious hobbits and putting nothing but short people out there. It has quote unquote worked in the Steve Kerr era. I can't sit here and deny what is actually, what we can see. He's got 4 NBA titles. They've had 6 appearances. Hell, they had 5 consecutive finals appearances, and continued one of the greatest franchises arguably of the last 50 years, and a lot of the time he has incorporated small ball. Now I could make the argument, and I have before, and I will at least go ahead and put it here one more time, that I don't think necessarily causation is correlation. I don't think necessarily they won because of small ball. I think they won because they had Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Kevin Durant all in their prime in different parts of their championship runs. I think that, Phil Jackson's quote-unquote triangle offense ran pretty damn good when he had, I don't know, Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen or Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. I don't know how much it had to do with the triangle offense. I don't know how much small ball was actually the reason when you have Steph, Klay, Draymond, Kevin Durant in your prime that you went on to win all these titles. And the best example I can put of this to try to explain this, I think Usain Bolt could have won a lot of races wearing Timberlands, wearing hiking boots. I don't think he would have won those races because of the hiking boots. I think you would be kind of crazy to go, oh man, he must be the fastest man on the planet because he's out there wearing hiking boots as he's running on the track. That must be the reason that he's fast, because he's winning all these races. Just because he still wins and is able to win in spite of wearing clearly the wrong footwear, I don't think that's necessarily why he won the race, and I actually think that's a hindrance, and he's just so goddamn good that he was still able to get it done. I kind of put that in the same argument with Steve Kerr and his precious small ball here. I really think just because of who you had, that the same way Phil Jackson was able to win with his triangle offense when he had Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, and wasn't able to do it in New York with Carmelo Anthony or whoever else. I think your personnel, you could have ran a lot of offenses. You could have ran small, you could have ran tall, you could have ran triangle, could have ran circle, could have ran rhombus, could have ran a lot of shit. And with those type of great players, you are probably still going to win. So I will at least make that caveat that even though he's had success with it, I don't know how much I credit it. I think because of who you had and who they are, and just the fact that almost anything was going to work, that it even further cemented this addictive behavior, which is another thing that is actually, I can speak to this personally, of like, you still have success even though you're doing things that are detrimental. You start to even credit that detriment as the reason you're successful. I used to think like, oh, I was in a really good mood. I was up. I was feeling it. That's why I was able to be good on the radio that day, or that's why I was able to do this. You start kind of confusing yourself into thinking, oh, this isn't a detriment. This isn't hurting me. This is the reason I'm successful. This is the reason. And the more I do it, the more successful I'm going to be. And eventually that whole house of cards comes crumbling down, that game of Jenga. And that is what we have seen now with Steve Kerr and his precious hobbits, his little small people. He just thinks it's the greatest thing in the world. He doesn't give a shit that the entire league has gone away from the system, by the way. He does not care at all. He doesn't care that you look at every top team. You look at Denver, you look at Minnesota, you look at Boston, you look at Milwaukee. There's not a team that doesn't now employ 7-footers, because as the rest of the league has figured out, the advantages that you would have in that system of having smaller, quicker guys that can switch, more agile, can shoot, we have 7-footers that can do that now. It's a new era. It's 2024. There are plenty of 6'10 guys and above who can protect the paint and can do things to help you on defense and rebound the ball, and some of the things that Golden State Warriors struggle with, that can actually do all that and are 6'10 and above. As Boston tried to go small, it didn't work out for them. They went and got Kristaps. He's 7'3". They're doing great. Milwaukee, again, has Brook Lopez, Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're one of the biggest teams in the league. Minnesota, who shocked everybody, is one of the top teams in the West right now, has not one but two goddamn huge people. They have Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert, the big French 7'4" guy. It's not necessary. And so it's even making it more embarrassing that as they continue to fail with this, that he continues to do it. But I will continue to go down the same accusation and the same road of, this is beyond just a strategy. This is beyond more than just like, oh, I really think this could work. This is an obsession. This is a craving. This is a need. And maybe it's ego a little bit to be like, my system and the way that I do things has revolutionized the game. And he, along with D'Antoni's and other, I can actually say there is a little truth to that, a little bit, they did change basketball with the small ball strategy and era and actually having some success with it. But now it's kind of become part of, he just thinks that, that's the only way to do things. And it's not just killing them this year and showing struggles in the fact that we might not make the play, and I'll get to those stats in a second. But a lot of people, in case you don't remember, go back and look up now the FIBA World Cup that just happened where Steve Kerr was the head coach. Finally, I had people on my bandwagon. Finally, I had people understand that this dude and his precious hobbits was just not a great strategy, especially when you go against a bigger team that can do all the things your small people can do, when we didn't even medal. I don't think people realize that. That is so goddamn embarrassing for the United States to not just lose the gold medal in basketball, but to not medal at all. We didn't medal at all. We got 4th damn place. We lost to Germany of all people, because, and you can look at the headlines, go Google these. There's multiple ones. Steve Kerr's small ball ended up not working. Steve Kerr continues to downplay the small ball being the issue. Steve Kerr doesn't play Walker Kessler. Steve Kerr doesn't play his bigs, and it's really showing up. You look at the stats, it's killing us, and it's embarrassing because now we didn't even medal in the FIBA World Cup. And when you asked him about it, he continued to downplay it, continued to hem-haw, continued to tell you other things. Sign number 3, behavioral addiction, increasing frequency or behavior, and ignoring obligations to family or work. I'm onto something here. You can't tell me that. And this is the other sad part of this. And this was actually given to me. I'll give my girlfriend credit. She's the one who pointed this out, because we were doing really well in Golden State. They were playing their bigs. They were on this great run. A lot of people were talking about, man, Golden State might move up to that top 6 that you need to get to in order to avoid the play-in. They look really good. They could be a title contender. And then everything switched. And she was the one who actually pointed this out to me. He just signed his contract. It blew my mind, but it's absolutely true. And one of the worst things you can do when someone's showing addictive, craving, obsessive behavior that is detrimental to everyone around him, the last 2 things you want to give him is a bunch of money and no accountability. And I swear to God, go look at the timeline, because the old phrase comes true. Money doesn't change you, money exposes you. The week after all this success, and they were looking great, Steve Kerr signs his now record-setting extension of 2 years, $35 million, which is the highest paid coach ever in NBA history. This sumbitch ran right back to everything that was killing them before. They went from 12-3 in the 15 games before that, right before the week he signed his contract. They were 12-3 in their last 15. They were the hottest team in the NBA. They looked great. He signs his contract. He then reverts back because Trayce Jackson-Davis had one good game. He now decides to bench Kevon Looney and Sarge and go completely small. We went 3-6 in the next 9. And I want to re-encapsulate that. They were doing great. They're playing their bigs. They're 12-3. They're up. They're rising with a bullet. He gets his money. Suddenly he decides, I don't need to play my centers. I want to go back to the way I do things. I want to go back to the way I just completely lost us any medal in the FIBA World Cup. I want to go small again. And they went to 3-6 in the next 9. Now we've won the last 2 in Golden State. And because Kevon Looney has played, and the reason he's been able to play is because there's been injuries. He's been forced to play Kevon Looney. And I'll almost guarantee you, as soon as he has the ability to do it, he will revert back to his precious hobbits. He will revert back to small ball, because this is beyond a strategy. This is beyond just, oh, I think this could work. This is an obsession. This is a need. This is, my precious. This is that level of just goofiness. And it's just, I don't even know what to do, because like I said, the last thing you want to give somebody who is showing change that has addictive behavior is money and no accountability. He has 2 years, $35 million. He can lose every goddamn game he wants from now on. He's going to be able to make his money. I don't know if we can fix it. And so between him and Draymond, I don't know if we have a shot. I really don't. And it sucks for Steph Curry. It sucks for Klay Thompson. It sucks as a Warriors fan. It sucks to watch the end of the era. But I don't think they're going to involve either one of these strategies that I'm trying to invoke. I really don't think Draymond would even go along with it, and the zero tolerance policy of like, dude, anybody not named Golden State Warrior, you can't talk to him. And now that you've extended Steve Kerr for 2 years, 35, I don't think you can do anything about that. When push comes to shove, he's going to go out and play his precious hobbits, because that's just the way he thinks is going to work. He doesn't really care that it doesn't work. He doesn't care that the USA doesn't medal. He doesn't care that his team's going to miss the playoffs. He doesn't care how embarrassing and sad that is. He doesn't care, even though no one else in the entire NBA is enforcing this strategy anymore, including the top teams. You look at Boston, Milwaukee, Denver, Minnesota, Oklahoma City. None of them, not a single one of them, runs anything close to a small ball, but he's obsessed with it. It's his ring. It's his precious. I can't get him back to Mordor. I can't put the ring back in the volcano. All right. Whew. Whoosah, serenity now. All right, let me move on to something completely different. NCAA March Madness. I'm obsessed with this. I am craving this, and I'm craving something that we are just hours away from one more game apiece from this happening, because by the time this podcast is released, hopefully this morning, you're going to find out we have USC Baylor, we have Duke and UConn in the women's Final Four, but we have LSU versus UCLA, number 3 LSU versus number 2 UCLA in the Sweet 16, and number 1 Iowa versus number 5 Colorado. If and only if this finally happens and we get, Iowa to win and LSU to win, we get the rematch that I have been dying for. I think this will be the biggest thing in the world. Play the video one more time so I can get hyped. We can get our rematch. If Iowa can handle business against Colorado and LSU can beat number 2 UCLA, which is the big one here, we're going to get that rematch. Let me see it. Let me see my girl. Let me see Caitlin. And yeah, here we go. Oh, we finally can get the rematch. We are one game away each. All these ladies got to do is handle business. And I'm sorry, UCLA, and I'm sorry, Colorado. You are freaking irrelevant. NCAA, please do not screw this up. We are literally 2 days away. That's it. From possibly having the rematch, Angel versus Caitlin, the defending champs versus the GOAT, the most watched women's game in NCAA history, and might actually beat the NCAA finals. They could definitely beat the men, and god dang it, if we can get this done. If this is happening, this one has it all, and I'm so damn excited. This is Larry versus Magic 2.0. This is the same thing that the boys' side got in 1979 when Larry Bird, the farm boy, played Magic Johnson, the showy, flashy dude, and they had that complete, still the most watched game ever in NCAA history. We can repeat this now with Angel versus Caitlin on the women's side, and a tale as old as time, and the rivalry is so perfectly American. It is just written out of a Hollywood script. We have the GOAT, the individual GOAT versus the champs. We have white versus black. We have the older fans on Iowa who are the more out of touch but more responsible, maybe a little bit more mature, but don't understand how the kids work today, versus the other side where you have the younger, the more, impoverished, the more angry and frustrated they can be, immature. They have, they kind of hide in their feelings a little bit, but they're also the future and the movement here. So you got that going on. You have the sides that are picked, and it's really nice and just down the line, which is always great for a rivalry, is that both sides are clearly separated from each other. And that is always what makes a good rivalry, especially in this situation, of the idea that you're not just excited to see the one team win, you're almost more excited to see the other team lose. That's the key to a great rivalry. That's a key to some real good beef. Not that it's just you want your side to win, but that you almost even more are more excited to see the other one lose because you really don't like them that much. And that's what we have here. That's what's been building for the last year. Again, this is Larry Magic. This is the GOAT versus the champs. This is white versus black. This is old versus young. This is Larry, Magic. This is the Tom Patriots. This is versus the Marshawn Lynch Seahawks. This is Connor versus Floyd. This is Rocky versus Apollo. This is the OJ trial verdict. This is Kerrigan Harding. This is McGuire Sosa, the Celtics Lakers, Duke versus the Fab Five, Lewis versus Marciano. This is Tiger Woods versus the PGA, on and on and on. This is that just wrapped in a bow. And all we need is for one more game to happen on each side. All we need to get this done is for UCLA and Colorado to die like dogs. And I'm sure you're wonderful people, and next year they can all be your time. But you cannot screw this up because of the history that could be made, the ratings that could be made, and just the memory that's going to be made. I put this on that level. It is so rare to get an actual rematch of this, just especially in college. Most of the time, once they fight in an NCAA championship, one or the other one moves on. It's very rare that they get the chance to go ahead and run this back. This isn't like professional sports where, like the Celtics and Lakers, we got to see them play over and over. This is a unique opportunity. And the fact that it's been so perfectly divided down the line is fascinating. And I put it up there. I put it up there with Larry Magic. I put it up there with Connor Floyd, Rocky Apollo. Let's get movies. Let's get into it. Let's get into the clear just deviation and separation that has really just gotten even just no one who gives a shit about basketball's attention. That's when it's really good. And again, the other part of this is really good is that both sides really almost want to see the other one lose more than they want to see their girl win. And that is when it really gets good. That's when that anger and that hate. And boy, both of y'all really hate the other side. And I almost hesitate to tell you which side I lean on because, man, you both really don't like each other. I've watched and I've listened and I've read the comments and I've done all the stuff. Y'all really are upset with the other one. The Angel fans are so tired of Caitlin. The Caitlin fans are tired of Angel even being brought up because, honestly, there's no statistical thing that can put the two, but she does have the ring. She's got the ring as she let Caitlin see. So this is just, I almost think it probably won't happen because I'm just wanting it to happen so much, but I don't know how, if you're the NCAA women's organization, that you don't fix it. I really don't, because it's that important. Again, I went through all the numbers and the ratings and everything else. This could be the first time ever in history that the women beat the boys straight up in an Elite Eight to Elite Eight comparison in television ratings. This will be the first time ever, and maybe for a long time coming, that they can say, we brought more eyeballs to our sport than yours. It's that level of beef, and it is so good. And I mean, I knew, by the way, let me delve off into this second part here. Like, I knew everyone didn't like each other, but man, it's getting ugly. The Caitlyn stuff really is getting it's interesting to watch, and this is kind of the evolution of the star. Anyways, we love to build someone up and then tear them down. But man, Caitlyn Clark. Let me talk about her real quick. I got this segment. I'm calling it the weight of the crown. If you can go ahead and put that up. Yeah, this is just. As much as I'm a fan, and maybe I should just look, it's pretty obvious. I'm on Team Caitlyn here. I want her to get her get back and then go on to take on some of the other girls there. The weight of the crown is getting heavy for Caitlyn. She is she's different right now. She's it's getting to her. This constant attention and eyeballs and pressure, and now the hate that is coming her way. She's showing it. She's complaining on the court. She's moodier. She's brattier. Sure, her shot is off. She's not really playing with the same level of confidence that she once did. She kind of is hesitating, a la Klay Thompson in Golden State. Her own dad, and let me go ahead and pop this video up here real quick, Corey. This was an interesting one recently. Her own dad had to tell her from the stands, shut up. Stop whining. I have never seen that really happen. Go ahead and pop that for me here. Go ahead and, yeah, this is... You know, this is, again, she's the weight of the crown, man. She's bratty, she's moody, she's complaining. And her own dad, look at her, stop. I replay it for you a few times so you can see it, but I mean, she's just out and every call is not going her way, and she's mad at this and she's screaming at this, and she's showing signs of this lack of composure that we haven't seen from her, to the point where her own dad is shaking his head in frustration, like, just cut it out. Quit bitching. Who is this girl that we're not used to seeing that is so angry and is so frustrated? It is the weight of the crown. If I can go ahead and go back to that one more time, if you don't mind. It's a lot, man. Y'all really are coming at her with a lot of just, and a lot of it's goofy. Let me clarify this part too. Caitlyn Clark has been the best player in all of college basketball the last 2 years. You can take all of your, misplaced trauma, or wherever this is coming from, whatever is going on or has happened in your life that makes you want to try to argue the dumbest point. And this isn't even just coming from somebody who's a fan. This is just statistical. Sometimes the sky is blue because it's freaking blue. Caitlyn Clark was and is, so far, the best collegiate basketball player the last 2 years running. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, the hate, if you want to hate, hate. Everyone has a right to do it. Everyone has a right to dislike who they dislike. But when I continue to see internet comments that say stuff like, oh, this person's better, or she's overrated, or da-da-da-da-da, just so you know, one more time, she has been the best in NCAA basketball by a long shot. See what I did there? She's the #1 all-time leading scorer, men or women. Maravich, Plum, Woodard, they all went down. She's the #1 all-time scorer ever in a tournament with 191 points in a tournament. She's the only person ever to have a 40-point triple-double in the NCAA tournament, man or woman. She's the #1, again, leading scorer in women's basketball, and also is #1 in assist again. Everyone wants to say Juju. I love Juju. Juju. Just so you know, Juju is, again, 5 points behind in scoring and like 6 behind in assist, and is actually second in scoring with 5 points left. So Caitlyn is now first in scoring, first in assist, and way ahead of Juju in every statistical category, including field goal percentage and three-point percentage. She's not just chucking, she actually shoots a better percentage. She is now the most watched NCAA woman ever by far in every single level. The most watched game ever, the most watched championship, the most watched Final Four. Her game versus West Virginia was just the most watched most tournament game, not Final Four related ever of all time. She is now #1 in NIL money. We could put that one up. It's the one that was actually towards the end if you want, but we can go ahead and get to it later. She's #1 NIL money by a long shot at over $3 million. Ice Cube just offered her $5 million to come play against the boys and play in the Big Three in the WNBA's offseason. I mean, other than you don't like her and you don't like certain things, you don't like her fan base, go ahead and make those points. But again, when you try to make the argument, and I think I have a video up there if you can put that up just one more time when she breaks the record. I just want to hammer this home, and then I'm going to move on here. So for people trying to hate on this girl, again, She's the best in the NCAA that we've seen in the last 2 years by a long shot, man or woman. She's the #1 all-time leading scorer after Maravich, Plum, and Woodard all went down. She is #1 in all-time tournament points, 191 points in a single tournament. She only had the 40-point triple-double. She's #1 in NCAA women in scoring and assist. She's the only one who has now the most watched everything NCAA women. All eyeballs on her. Championship, Final Four, non-Final Four tournament game. She is the #1 in NIL deals. She is going to now be offered all sorts of money outside of professional sports and bring a WNBA struggling to an entirely different level. She's the best on the court. She's the most watched. She has every stat to prove it. She has every record in the world. You're going to have to just say, you know what? I don't like her and I want to see her lose. Say that and I'm happy with it. Say that and I'm fine because, I'm with you. I get it. We want to see it, but God dang it. I don't even want to talk about the rest of the tournament. All I want to see is LSU and Iowa get it on in this rematch. All I want to see is everybody, see what kind of ratings we can get out of this. See if they can, just change basketball forever, change the way we look at women's basketball forever, or is it just a moment in time? I don't know. Either way, it's major history, and we're just hours away. I swear to God, Colorado and UCLA, I do not care about you. I really need you to lose. And if you're even showing signs of a victory, NCAA women, I need you to fix it. Fix it. Whew. Feel better. Good. How am I doing on time? Do I have time for some videos here?
Yeah, we got some videos.
All right, cool. This is, let's just go ahead and take it all down a notch. I've been rambling about addiction and hate and race and all sorts of shit here. Let's go ahead and take it back a little bit. I want to show some videos here that are just fun for me. We're going to kind of theme this first part. Other countries are weird as shit. I don't know what to tell you. I got a few here that are kind of, this one seems athletic. The other countries do a lot of weird stuff, and I'm sure other countries look at us like the way we would look at an alien and go like, oh, aliens are ugly. Aliens look at us and be like, dude, what are you talking about? You're ugly as hell. Other countries do really weird crap. I found this. It's kind of athletic. I don't know what to call it. I called it Weird, Quiet Asian Slapfest Mousetrap Game. Play it. I really don't know what else to tell you. Why they're doing this. Why they have to be... So you all hide in a room, and this guy who seems to have very good reflexes can slap you if he finds you. And they're like kind of cornered in. There's mousetraps on the ground, which, again, sure. And if you able to kind of get his back, you're able to whack him as hard as you want, kick him even. Yeah, I don't know. This is apparently on their television. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I wouldn't watch this, as you just caught the mousetrap to the foot. Some bitch. That has to hurt. But yeah, I don't know does anybody know what this is? Can anybody tell me what the hell I'm staring at? She just slapped him with a chancla. Now, I'm from South Texas. I've been slapped with chanclas. That's not unusual in my life, but I've never done it blindfolded with like a little belt with mousetraps around my bare feet, where I'm just whacking people like the towel game in the showers. The hell is this? Other countries are weird as shit. So I'm going to tell you. Other countries are weird as shit. All right, we can stop that one. Appreciate it. They keep going. I don't know why. They just keep doing this. I don't know what the hell they're up to. This one is just a quick one here. Let me just throw this in there since I'm talking about Asians and people being mean. I learned this from playing basketball. We used to have to wait for our game and we'd watch the women. The women are way meaner. Women are just unbelievably aggressive. If you put them in a competitive situation, sports included, I don't know what this is or why they're doing it. There's clearly no actual rules being involved, but there's a big crowd somewhere again in Asia. Ladies playing basketball. I kind of think this is going to be LSU, Iowa. If we actually get this game, this might be indicative. This might be a little foreshadowing of the level of physicality we're going to see as these nutjobs just beat the hell out of each other. They're clearly not following basketball rules. They've all traveled and double dribbled. Is that the hip tackle? I thought the NFL just banned the hip tackle. Women are mean as shit. Put a woman in a competitive environment, they can be way meaner than any boy can. And if you haven't seen it yourself, it's always worth it. But again, that could be Iowa LSU. God, please let that happen. Continuing on my theme, other countries are just weird. Oh, this is a great one. I don't know where this is. This is not America. There's little mini-me playing basketball. Like a globe. Just look at him go, though. Good hip movement for a little guy. Yeah, again, this must be some sort of fun, like, kind of globetrottery game here. Look at my man go, man. He's just going for it. Getting it in. He's got the donkadonk. His little body allows for him to kind of, he's got some junk. Oh, the worm. Here comes the worm. Crowd loves it. I don't know. Other countries are weird. What do you want me to tell you? I don't know what to tell you. I watch videos and I go, all right. Now he's going to dribble a little bit. Double dribble, triple dribble, travel. Under the legs. And they pick him up. Voila! 2 points. Yay! Crowd goes crazy. Anybody know where that was from? I would love to know exactly who or what or why or how all that happened. And maybe give me some dance lessons. That dude could... I can't really twerk it out. Sorry, Carl. I can't get that. Can't get that thrust back there. 2 more. On a lighter note, let's try to inspire you. Anybody can do anything. All you need is a little belief in yourself and everything you're about, and then maybe you can... Oh, damn. Poland apparently put this out. God damn. Show it again. Show it again. This is supposed... I was all excited. I was like, wow, this one-legged man still can do things. He just complete... I don't need reminders. I don't need reminders that the world is tough, life sucks, and sometimes you can't overcome your obstacles. Last one. Do it again. Do it again. Play one more. I just got to see. What are they doing? Why? Why put this up? I thought this was like a you can do it. He's not even close. He just... You know what? Let's go back to basketball. Maybe I can find inspiration in basketball. There's been a lot of moments of let's take the guy who's not any good, but we're up, and so the other team's going to let him have his moment, like the autistic kid that hit the 6 3-pointers and all that. Let's end on a high note. Let's end on some good stuff here. Let's show this kid somewhere. He's going to do it, man. You can tell his basketball's not his main thing, but he's going to make us believe we can do anything, right? Anybody can do anything. Just apply yourself. There's the layup. Oh, damn. There comes that one. Nope, still not. Yeah, give it back to him. Ah, shit. You're 1 foot away, buddy. Come on. Come on, man. You just... Because anybody can do anything if you really apply yourself and the moment comes and... Ah, damn. Just get it. Ah, he did it. He did it. 17 tries later. Clearly... an inspirational, wonderful moment. I'm glad that the internet was able to record that. I got to go. I don't know what else to say. You can do it. You can do it. Let's leave it on that. See you later.